What's going on, Disney fans? It's Disney Dan here with another episode of DIStory. In this episode, let's relax in the summer sun and let off some steam as we take a look at the theme park evolution of the one and only summer-loving snowman, Olaf. Frozen hit the theaters in November of 2013 and became an instant smash hit. Families went to see it multiple times, and you were hard-pressed to go into public and not hear a kid singing "Let It Go!" It seemed like the entire world was slowly being swallowed up with Frozen fever. While the two strong female leads were a hit among young kids, the one character that took the cake as being the favorite across the board for the entire family was the adorable, lovable snowman, Olaf.
Olaf is so cute.
Voiced by the breakout Broadway star Josh Gad, the snowman character was a symbol of love, family, and innocence. His quirky character traits and hilarious antics made him a perfect shoo-in for Disney park humor and shows. And let me tell you, for only being around for 5 years, Olaf has seen and done it all. So let's take a look at the evolution of Olaf both in and out of Disney theme parks around the world. Just ahead of the actual release of Frozen in theaters, Disney's California Adventure debuted a new winter version of their signature nighttime spectacular, World of Color, which they called World of Color Winter Dreams. This show featured the first in-park appearance of Olaf in the form of a projection.
Hello, I'm Olaf, and I like warm hugs.
Olaf would continue on with a nice small musical montage scene before the show transitioned into the next scene featuring Bambi. This short appearance in World of Color would be the first of many Frozen-themed projection pieces to be used in various nighttime shows around the world, including castle shows and firework displays.
Man? Hey, let's explore some other winter dreams, shall we?
Across the way from California Adventure, in Disneyland's Fantasyland area, a special meet and greet opened alongside the film's release in late November 2013. Transforming a small gift shop next to the exit of Pinocchio's Daring Journey, the Disney Parks team brought to life a little bit of Arendelle inside of Disneyland's Fantasyland. The new royal reception allowed park guests to meet Princess Anna and Queen Elsa for photo ops, autographs, and warm hugs. With the film's massive success, it goes without saying that this meet and greet had huge lines that snaked around the outside of the makeshift show building. To entertain the guests waiting hours in the hot sun, an adorable little Olaf animatronic was built into the rooftop over the entrance of the meet and greet. This little robotic Olaf would hang out on the roof, interacting with guests below by singing songs, telling jokes, and overall just being silly. This was the first animatronic version of Olaf, and he hung out in the parks for approximately 1 year before Anna, Elsa, and the whole Frozen gang made their way back over to Disney's California Adventure for a bit of Frozen fun.
Hey, you there? Yeah, you. Got any sunscreen I can borrow? I generally like a snowman protection factor of at least 50.
In January of 2014, Frozen took over a small corner of Disneyland's California Adventure Park and a new attraction called Frozen Fun. This special immersive experience featured a heavily themed open walk-around area in the Stage 17 building, a space usually reserved for special events. The new building was called Olaf's Snowfest, where guests could meet Anna and Elsa, enjoy musical performances, special photo ops, and more. The area also featured a rather thrown-together sing-along that unfortunately led to the permanent closure of Muppet Vision 3D at the Disneyland Resort. But I'm not totally bitter about that at all. No, that's not. Definitely not. Here, for the Frozen Fun special event, the first walk-around Olaf was introduced. The likeness of this Olaf to the film version was near perfect. Utilizing the 3D models from the film, the team was essentially able to 3D print an oversized replica for the head of the costume and rounded it out with a perfectly sculpted torso and feet. All of Olaf's signature look was covered here, from the 3 black buttons to the tall, twiggy hairpiece. In the few times I met Olaf while he's been a costume character, it's been clear to me that this bright, snowy costume was a massive challenge to keep clean and white, despite the constant sticky hugs from dirty kids covered in cotton candy and corn dog ketchup. This Olaf look was so near perfect that his walk-around costume still hasn't changed to this day. He can be found in almost every Disney park resort around the globe for meet and greets and continues to be a guest favorite. Where better to next see Frozen take over than Disney on Ice? Just shy of the film's one-year anniversary in late 2014, Disney on Ice's Frozen show debuted to massive success. With all costumes on ice, minor modifications have to be made to make quick changes easier and to account for some padding and extra ice skating safety, but Olaf remained mostly unchanged. The only real noticeable difference is in the shoes, which are much smaller and form-fitting, allowing for easier skating. A secondary Olaf prop was built with only a lower torso section for a fun gag like we see in the film where Olaf falls apart. Unfortunately, it seems like his remote-controlled Olaf body was quite difficult to maneuver. In early 2015, a brand new version of Olaf made his debut appearance at Disneyland Hong Kong in a new, unique show called Olaf's Adventures, performed on a special mobile cart designed for puppet shows. This new puppet Olaf is probably one of the ugliest Disney creations I've ever seen. Straying so incredibly far from the source material, I'm honestly not sure how this design even got remotely approved to be in the parks. Olaf is of course joined by Sven and a few other random animal puppets to sing a few songs, entertain guests with some jokes and gags, and while all the other puppets look pretty decent, there is just something a little unsettling about this weird Olaf one. In mid-2015, a brand new Olaf's Summer Cooldown show debuted right in the middle of Disney's Hollywood studios. The new show is a fun musical review of Frozen with a handful of songs and dances. This show was the debut of a brand new articulated Olaf costume, complete with mouth and eye movements. Because the character's head was already so large and bulky, no real modifications really needed to be made to this design. This new articulated Olaf continues to be used to this day for any stage show appearance. Leaving the parks and heading out to the open ocean, the summer of 2015 introduced Frozen to the Disney Magic cruise ship. Character meet and greets were held all around the boat with Anna, Elsa, and Olaf, but a new version of Olaf was about to debut below deck. This ship is one of two ships outfitted with a very popular show, Disney Dream, an Enchanted classic. The Disney Magic's sister ship, the Disney Dream, was undergoing preparations for a brand new Frozen musical to debut on board. So to make sure that the Disney Magic had its own little bit of Frozen fever, the popular Disney Dream and Enchanted classic got a fresh facelift to include a few Frozen musical numbers. It's here that the very first articulated Olaf puppet was debuted. The hand rod puppet design featured a stationary body wrapped in a fleece-like fabric similar to the walk-around version seen in the parks, with a fun, fully articulated head. The arm rods were controlled by a puppeteer below the pile of white snow, with their other hand up through the body and into the snowman's head to move it around. The design and the angle of the puppeteer that had to operate the snowman left him with kind of like a dozen chin wrinkles and made kind of for a really weird sense of movement. But this puppet Olaf concept would continue to be refined and perfected over the years.
Just imagine how much cooler I'll be in summer.
Shortly after the debut of the new Olaf puppet on the seas, a brand new show was announced for Hong Kong Disneyland, the incredibly magical stage show Mickey and the Wondrous Book. In the show, Mickey would go on an adventure into a giant storybook accompanied by Goofy and Olaf to provide fun bits and gags between each of the scenes. This show actually featured 3 different unique Olaf puppets, the first being a basic Bunraku design, with the puppeteer accessing the mechanics from the back of Olaf's head and controlling the body with a single rod at the back of the torso. Olaf's arms would kind of loosely flap around as his body bounced back and forth. The second Olaf was a basic hand rod design, similar to the one seen on the Disney Magic. The major difference here was that this design had a specifically rigged carrot nose that could slide off the face and be pushed back on. It's kind of simple, but a super adorable gag. Finally, the third and coolest Olaf puppet showed up right before the giant Disney Princess medley. Here, only the lower torso of Olaf would slowly wander on stage, wobbling back and forth as it aimlessly searched for its head before going back off stage. Eventually, Olaf would end up being sucked back into the book, where he would be reunited with Anna before the end of the show. The closing of Aladdin at Disney's California Adventures Hyperion Theater in early 2016 cleared the way for a brand new stage show to take its place, Frozen. The new show would feature the entire story of Frozen retold in a Broadway-like setting with fully staged production numbers. Now, previously when Olaf was on stage, he was either a walk-around costume or a puppet controlled by a cleverly hidden puppeteer behind a rock, under a book, or draped in black and carefully lit. The new Hyperion show changed all of that with a full walk-around Olaf puppet that was strapped in front of a cleverly costumed puppeteer cast member. Olaf's mouth and eyes were controlled with a specially rigged handle that stuck out of the back of his head. His arms shared a large looped rod that allowed one-handed control of both of his stick limbs. To give the character's body some life and bounce, a harness was strapped to the performer with a special metal loop that hung down between his legs and attached to the back of Olaf's torso. His feet were then each independently attached to the performer's feet. This new clever design gave Olaf an insane amount of life and personality. Watching the show, the puppeteer on stage simply vanished as you were transfixed with this incredibly lifelike Olaf wandering around on stage and cracking jokes.
Summer! Oh, I don't know why, but I've always loved the idea of summer and sun and all things hot.
You don't have much experience with heat.
Nope.
In June of 2016, a new ride experience opened at Epcot's Norwegian Pavilion, Frozen Ever After. The special movie-themed dark ride replaced the incredibly popular Maelstrom with a new extended track packed full of unique animatronics. Included in these animatronics were several Olaf designs that could walk, skate, and chat with guests. The articulation and movement was really lifelike and amazing. The special fabric used for his skin would glow under the black lights, and combined with the projected animated eyes, it gave him personality and life that was really impressive.
She's making everyone a snowy summer day. Oh, you're going to have some ice gums.
Late 2016 saw the debut of a brand new Frozen musical out on the open sea on the Disney Wonder cruise ship. The show, Frozen, a Musical Spectacular, drew a lot of inspiration from the Hyperion show, but changed things up a bit, including a new look for the Olaf puppeteer. The hard-shelled puppet body and unique trigger handle control for the head were all identical to the Hyperion build. But this musical took a more themed approach to the puppeteer instead of just making him look like a citizen of Arendelle. He was done up as a full-on ice miser, giving the impression that real, frosty snow magic was the reason behind the Olaf puppet coming to life. We really love this design and feel like the choice was a lot better than the one made for the Hyperion. The intense theming gave us something fun to look at when our eyes occasionally wandered up from the puppet. Then, in March of 2018, after years of speculation, wait, workshops, and previews, Frozen the Musical opened on Broadway with a brand new and completely unique Olaf design. Embracing the concept of Olaf wandering out on stage, similar to the puppet-like design the Hyperion used, the new Olaf took this to a whole new themed and stylized level. The new design ditched the mechanical trigger on the back of the head, instead allowing the puppeteer to perform and operate the mouth with his hands, and triggering the eyes with a mechanic inside of the head with his fingers. The arm rod, body, feet rig were mostly identical to the way the Hyperion puppets were built, but the biggest change came in the form of Olaf's body. The hard-shelled kind of idea was ditched in favor of a new skin and design that looked like Olaf was carefully and perfectly crafted and knitted out of yarn. And if you look closely, a gentle, subtle snowflake sweater pattern can be seen on his torso. The puppeteer's costume is also a little bit more theme-fitting, with a subdued yet prominent white coat and hat, making sure that you are never confused about who and what this actor is doing on stage. The bright white outfit and puppet stand out nice and boldly on stage amongst all the other really beautiful costumes and sets.
It's so much fun. He's like a classic vaudevillian clown, but he's also like a Shakespeare clown. Whereas he, wherein he serves as the conscience of the play. You know, he's all knowing and all naive at the same time.
Which brings us to today. So what is your favorite version of Olaf? Despite being a new character only a few years old, he has seen some really great looks and some really not so great looks. So let us know in the comments below which has been your favorite. Plus, please subscribe to our channel and check out some of our other fun DIStory videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, you rock.